we in Sweden, yes, that's like all other markets around the world, has a lot of different kind of challenger brands. But I think what's interesting is if you look at the international or global challenger brands that's coming from Sweden, you can see, or you can cluster them in a couple of different areas and so forth. And if we look way back, or like one cluster, as you can call it, it's depending on how you look at Ikea, H&M, and so forward. But they are from the 40s, so it's like 8 years back in time. And I guess that they are more around, they had a different operating model from the beginning that they managed to scale out much later over the world and so forth. But what's interesting with them is that they had this, we will come back to that, this democratizing part of it, like giving something or giving good design to the masses or something like that. And then it took a while, you could say. And then I think more in the in the 80s, 90s, we had Absolut, which was a challenger brand, but a much different kind of flavor, I would say. So it's much more about, and I think you've been writing about this in like Eating the Big Fish as well. It's about art, it's about creativity, it's about collaboration. And but it's also much more connected to that product. It's a lot about advertising and communication, and like coming into the category with a different approach regarding that. And we had some brands like that later as well, because we had, I don't know if you heard about them, but we have like Acne Studios, which is a jeans brand turned into fashion brand and so forth, that has managed to go global. And we had Byredo, which is also, it's not a cosmetic, it's a perfume brand that actually got acquired by Puig a couple of weeks ago. So it's, but it's that's one like segment, or another cluster as well. But what's happening, I think it's more interesting what's happening the last 20 years, because we had a lot of the more like digital driven, or like the digital disruptive brands that have had a challenger approach as well. And we had like Skype, Spotify, King, that had Candy Crush, the game from mobile. We had Minecraft as well. And those were much more like tech, content, entertainment driven. And once again, it's not so much about advertising or challenging from that perspective, but more like hitting the right, what you call timing, and be really good at building something. Like sometimes I call them, it's more like platform brands, like global platform brands. And I think both, if we look at King, Spotify, Minecraft, and obviously now with Skype is part of Microsoft Teams, it's more like over 100 million users for each of those brands. And a lot of them have been acquired also by Activision and Microsoft and so forth. But then what has happened, I think, in parallel with that, is that we have a new wave of challenger brands from Sweden that are much more like product centered and design driven. And I'm thinking about Polestar, Cake, Northvolt. You could also add like Oatly within that, even if it's more like a fast moving consumer goods, but it's still very much centered around the product and the design and so forward. And there's also one in the outdoor market, a brand called Houdin as well, which is interesting from this challenger perspective as well. So I would say that that's if you simplify it, you have this like 4 different clusters.